My dearest friends, I want to speak to you from the heart today. Perhaps you're walking through a season in life that feels unbearably heavy, as if the weight of it is pressing down on your very soul. The nights seem endless, filled with questions, doubts, and tears, and you may feel utterly alone, confused, or lost. If this resonates with you, I need you to listen closely, because there is a truth, a promise, that can bring light to your darkest moments. God sees you. He knows where you are, even when you feel abandoned, even when you think no one understands the depth of your pain. In the midst of your hardest season, God is not distant. He is close, closer than you realize. He is right there beside you. In your suffering, in your tears, and in your moments of silence, there's a quote from C.S. Lewis that I always come back to when life feels overwhelming: hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. You see, your current struggle is not meaningless. It is not without purpose. It may be hard to believe right now, but God is using this very moment, the storm you're in, to prepare you for something greater. Even when you can't see it, even when every day feels like a battle, He is already at work, carving a way through the valley you're walking in. I've been there too, feeling like the weight of life was too much to bear, like I was drowning under the pressures and challenges I faced. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to trust in God's plan when you're in the midst of pain, when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. But here's the thing: faith is not about seeing the way forward, it's about trusting that God is already making a way. He's moving mountains, He's opening doors, and when the time is right, you will step into a new season, stronger, braver, and more blessed than you can imagine. I know it's hard to believe that right now. When you feel like you've reached your breaking point, when the weight of your problems seems unbearable, it's natural to want to fix things yourself. It's human to want to take control and force a solution. But my dear friends, I've learned something through my own struggles, and it's this: we cannot do it on our own. We need God's strength. We need His wisdom. Without Him, our efforts fall short. As C.S. Lewis so wisely put it, relying on God has to begin all over again every day, as if nothing had yet been done. Every day is an opportunity to trust in Him anew, to lean not on our own understanding, but on His infinite wisdom. I won't pretend that trusting God is easy, especially when the nights are long and your prayers seem to go unanswered. It can feel like God is silent in the middle of your deepest pain. But remember this: silence does not mean absence. God is not far from you. He is with you. Even in the stillness, even when you feel like nothing is changing. He is working behind the scenes in ways that you cannot see. As C.S. Lewis once wrote, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. In this pain, God is speaking. He is calling you to trust Him more deeply, to lean on Him more fully, to rely on His strength when yours has run out. So today, I want to encourage you: pour out your heart to Him. Tell God how you feel. Let Him hear your fears, your doubts, your exhaustion. Cry out to Him. Scream if you must. God is not afraid of your emotions. He cares about every tear you cry, every sleepless night, every whispered why. God? He hears you, even now, and He is not indifferent to your suffering. When you feel like you can't carry the burden any longer, remember this: God is bigger. He is bigger than the pain you're facing. He is stronger than the challenges before you. His love is more powerful than any fear or doubt you hold in your heart. And He will carry you through. I know waiting for a breakthrough can feel unbearable. When nothing seems to be changing and you feel like you're stuck in the same painful situation, it can be so hard to keep believing that God is still working. But His timing is perfect. C.S. Lewis reminds us of this truth: I am sure that God keeps no one waiting unless he sees that it is good for him to wait. There is purpose in the waiting. Even when it feels like your prayers are going unanswered, trust that God knows exactly when the doors will open. Trust that he is preparing you for something greater. Hold on, dear friends. Don't let go of hope. No matter how long this season lasts, no matter how heavy the burden feels, it will not last forever. There will come a day when you look back and see how far God has brought you, how he carried you when you thought you couldn't take another step. As C.S. Lewis so beautifully said, there are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind. And that is true for you. What God has for you on the other side of this trial is greater than anything you can imagine. I know some of you are staring at a mountain that feels impossible to climb. You're wondering how you'll ever get past it, how you'll make it through. But don't forget this: God moves mountains. He makes a way where there seems to be no way. He is the God of the impossible, and he will bring you out of this season. Sometimes, we lose something or someone precious, and it feels like the end. But as C.S. Lewis wisely noted, when we lose one blessing, another is often most unexpectedly given in its place. This loss, this struggle, is not the end of your story. God is already preparing something new for you, something greater than you can imagine. So, keep your eyes on him. Don't let the weight of this season pull you away from the one who loves you more deeply than you can fathom. Lean on him. He is your refuge, your strength, and your hope. There is power in surrendering to God's strength. When we come to the end of our own abilities, that's when God steps in and says, "Now let me carry you." I want to plead with you today: don't rely on your own strength to push through this season. It will never be enough. But God's strength? Oh, my dear friends, it is more than enough. He holds the universe in his hands, and he can hold you too. He will give you the strength to take another breath, another step, even when you feel like you can't go on. I know how it feels to be weary, to feel like you've given everything you have, and there's nothing left. The struggles, the losses, the fears, they can drain you, body and soul. But hear me, God never intended for you to fight these battles alone. He never wanted you to carry these burdens by yourself. That's why he offers you his strength. He says, "Cast your cares upon me." He invites you to let him carry the weight you're struggling with. When you wake up in the morning and feel like you can't face another day, ask God for his strength. When you're in the middle of a hard situation and you don't know how you'll survive, ask God for his strength. When you're at your breaking point, and you don't think you can go on for another minute, ask God for his strength, and here's the most beautiful thing: he will give it to you. He will pour into you a strength that will carry you through the darkest moments, a strength that will hold you together when it feels like your world is falling apart. But it's not just about asking, it's about believing. You have to believe that God will provide. I know that's hard when you're in the middle of the storm. But don't let doubt creep in. God is with you, right in the center of your struggle, ready to flood your life with his strength. Let me tell you what has carried me through my darkest seasons. When I feel at my weakest, I remind myself of who God is. He is the creator of all things. Nothing is too hard for him. He loves me with a love so deep and fierce that it will never let me go. He is for me, not against me. He is my refuge, my shelter, my help in times of trouble. As I focus on who God is, my perspective shifts. My problems don't seem so overwhelming anymore. C.S. Lewis once said, "Faith is the art of holding on to things your reason has once accepted, in spite of your changing moods." Faith is what keeps us believing, even when we're weak, worn out, and unsure of what's ahead. So, today, I want you to remind yourself of who God is. Speak his truth over your life. Even in the midst of the storm, declare with all your heart, with God on my side, I can face anything. And as you speak these words, you will feel something stirring inside of you, a glimmer of hope. A flicker of strength. You may be weary, but you are not defeated. You may be struggling, but you are not without hope. You may be in a hard season, but your story isn't over yet.